Now the table, like you saw before, is called entries, and we're going to need to work out how many fields we want. We've already seen that we need an ID, we need a timestamp, we need name, email address and message. So that's 5 in total. Let's just click on go, and you can see that it's asking us to enter all the specific information about our tables. Now don't panic, this does look a bit scary at first, but we only need to specify some data. Some of these values are not required. So obviously the field name is important. We need to write ID in here, timestamp here, then we've got the name, the email and the message. Now that's the first step. We've created our fields now, or the field names. Now we need to set the type. Now the type for ID is going to be integer. We want to keep it at an integer value. The same with timestamp. This is going to be an integer value, so we can keep them like that. The only difference with ID is we want to set it to the primary key in the table. So if we drop down this list here on index, set it to primary, this sets this value to a primary key, which means it's the unique key in our table. Now auto increment in here is abbreviated to AI. We need to tick this. This means that we're going to start from 1 and we're going to increment for every row that's inserted. So the first row is going to be 1 and then the second 2, like we looked at earlier. Timestamp can just stay as it is, as integer. Name we need to set as a variable character, so varchar. The same as email, variable character, and variable character for message. And now we can set the length and values. Now for int, the length and value, or the length, is not required, but for varchar it is. So for name we said 25, for email 255, and the same for message 255 as well. Okay, so we need to forget about all this other information. We don't really need to set anything here. Let's go down and click save. And that's our table entries created. So you can see it's appeared here. We can click on, and at the moment MySQL returned an empty result set. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to connect to our database. So this is obviously an important step that we need to take in order to connect to our server and then to our database, select our database, and either insert or retrieve values from our table. Okay, so let's go ahead and create an if statement. So if, inside of here we're going to connect, first of all we're going to connect to our server and then select our database. And if either of these are not performed properly, so if we either specify an incorrect password or our MySQL server appears to be down, we're going to give the user an error message. And the error message is just going to be could not connect. We're going to create a user-friendly error message. So if, the first thing we're going to do is connect, so we need to MySQL connect, and we need to specify 3 different arguments. The first one is the server, then the username, and then the password. Remember earlier I said I had no password, but my username was root, and the server we're connecting to is localhost. So if MySQL connect and MySQL select DB, and this is, remember we called it Guestbook, then do something in here. Otherwise we want to go on and give an error message. So if these two are true, so if this connects and there's no error, then this is equal to true. And then if this connects and there's no error, then, or this is successful and there's no error, then it's equal to true. Therefore this is validated as true. We can continue with our code. Otherwise we just need to give the user a user-friendly error message to tell them that we couldn't connect. So could not connect at this time. Okay, so something like that. So let's go ahead and in here and just write something out. So connected, and we'll go over to our page and we'll refresh. And you can see that we've got the message connected back. Okay, so now let's go back over and change something in here. So let's change this to root 1, for example. This is obviously not going to connect because we don't have a user called user1, and if we refresh you can see that could not connect at this time. Now we've got this error message up here. You can set this using error reporting, or you can silence the error by putting an @ symbol in front of each command. What this will do is it won't give the specific error message from this function or this function, but it will give our error message out here. So let's just refresh and see what happens. you can see that we just get our plain error message back. The use of the this is an error silencer in front of it, will actually slow down your script somewhat, so it's probably not a good idea to use it, but it is a good idea to sort out your error reporting either in your php.ini file or using the error reporting function. So once we've connected, what do we need to do? Well, we need to retrieve values from our database and show them. And what we also need to do is check if any data has been submitted back to this page to be inserted into the guestbook. So I think the best idea for now would be to go ahead and create the form that we need to actually input this data. At the moment you can see that there's absolutely nothing on the page, so it would be useful to create the structure of our page before we actually go ahead and retrieve values. So I'm not going to go into XHTML. I'm just going to create a simple HTML form. I'm not going to go into creating anything, you know, too correct in that sense, because we're going to focus on the PHP side of things. So let's go ahead and create our form. We need an action and a method to our form. So the action is going to be this page, which is guestbook.php. But instead of writing guestbook.php in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to specify a PHP predefined server variable, which is going to give us the page that we're currently on. And the reason we do this is because if you were to include this anywhere in any other page, it's going to automatically pick up on the current page you're on. If you don't understand why this is, try using the include function and including this guestbook.php file inside another page, and you'll see that it'll automatically pick up on the page that you've included it from.